So we'll start with this question. Is this electromagnetic harmonics? And this is from earlier in the show.
Well, the Schumann resonances are, those are those natural frequencies of light. And the first one at 7.8 hertz, specifically at 7.5 hertz, is the same wavelength as the circumference of the Earth. So the Earth is, I don't have a ball next to me, but it has this actual size to it, and the wavelength is the same as circumference. So when the light wave is pulsing around the Earth, it's doing one wave crest to trough every single rotation around. And what's interesting about that too is that the speed of light is this. It's a little bit different. It has the same wavelength, but light actually is able to travel around the planet about 7.5, 8 times a second, and that matches perfectly with that harmonic. So it's kind of this interesting synergy. But the other Schumann resonances, those are the higher modes. That would be like the geophysics term, and the musical term be like, the other notes of the chord, or the harmonics. And what's interesting is that they did the initial research paper that came out by Winfried Otto Schumann back in the 50s. He calculated out those harmonics using like the physics formulas and everything. And then when they actually observed them, his foundational mode is correct, because that's a super simple calculation. It's 300,000 divided by 40,000 kilometers, and then you get 7.5 hertz. But the harmonics that he calculated were wrong. And so the natural Earth harmonics are slightly off. They're slightly different from the theoretical basis. So yeah, those are electromagnetic harmonics at the lower frequency, but you also have these harmonics in many different ways. You have, for example, like the near Earth environment, you have different plasma resonances. These are called ion cyclotron resonant frequencies. The weight of a ion, like a calcium or a sodium or an oxygen or a proton or electron, are all different. And so they will have different vibrations that they resonate at preferentially, depending on the strength of the magnetic field they're in, Earth's magnetic field, and then also depending on the strength of the pulsed magnetic fields or the pulsed electric fields that exist. And so those can change and vary under those situations. But there's all these electromagnetic resonances that exist both in like near Earth environment, within our environment, within our bodies. The ion cyclotron resonance effect, where these waves can trigger and energize ions, exist up in space, our atmosphere, and also internally. In Schumann resonances, these natural electromagnetic harmonics are what provide the energy for a lot of these base biologic reactions to occur that aren't being driven by like ATP. Like that's a big energy reaction that like our brain and parts of our body run on. But what's causing that one ion to move from there to there? Like that's not ATP. That's just the magnetic field stimulating the ion to move, because charges move in magnetic fields. So like water taking up most of the body, these magnetic fields, it seems, actually are driving probably the majority of the biologic processes on our body that are too small to measure. And we have like the theoretical basis for that, but it's kind of quantum at that point. When you observe something, you disrupt the system, so you can't observe it. The electron microscope is shooting a beam of electrons at something. Of course, it's going to look different if you're blasting with electrons. Mm-hmm. So it's this. You kind of have to go on some of this stuff.
That's where these supercomputers.
Hope that answered your question.
That was great.
Yeah. You're saying something about the supercomputers, Leighton?
Yeah, that's where we're going to need them AI and machine learning to really, because we can't look at it, we can't observe it. Like you said, if we observe it, we fuck it up. So, sorry, I don't want to slow down the questions. Looks like they're still coming.